feels like the draft. DraftBeat, 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 DraftBeat. DraftBeat, 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 DraftBeat. DraftBeat, 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 DraftBeat. Draft, draft, draft. DraftBeat, 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 DraftBeat. DraftBeat, 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 DraftBeat. DraftBeat, 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 DraftBeat. It feels like the draft, 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 draft. I'm going to miss that sweet, sweet music. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of DraftBeat. It is my pleasure to have you all today as we celebrate a Stanley Cup victory in South Florida. That's right. But first, let me introduce my co-host and co-founder of StreamBeat, Mr. Franky G. Franky, how are you feeling? How are you doing today? I see the Panthers hat. I see the excitement. Talk to me, buddy.
Draft. Oh my God, bro. I know all of South Florida can relate. That was the most fucking stressful series in sports history for us. Yeah. I felt better about fucking Game 6 with in Boston with LeBron. Oh my God, 3-0.
It was the most anxious I felt since the LeBron era, to be honest. Like nothing has felt that way. Even Game 7 versus Boston last year, which was just as excruciating, but even this had just a little bit more. You see him down below. Yeah, exactly. That's what really the outlier. Plus, hockey had never been done. It's crazy, but we got to keep moving. You see him down below. You see him in the light. He's finally out of the dungeon, here to give you some crucial draft news. I'm talking about Saucy Takes, Coach Lou. Coach, how are you doing today?
Oh, man. 25 hours, man. 25 hours, man. I'm excited.
Is that how long you've been a Panthers fan?
Yes, 25 hours. Fun fact, I watched the entire Game 7. It was very exciting for somebody who's never seen hockey in their life. I've only watched the finals, and it was pretty fucking I will catch a couple games next year. Call me a bandwagon.
Luke kept asking me, what color is the blue line? But really quick. Well, listen, guys, I'm really excited because this is an episode that I have very much been looking forward to. Yes, Lou mentioned it. We are 25 hours away from the draft. But before we get there, you know we love to give you a mock draft extravaganza. So we're going to go through the entire lottery leading up to number 15, the Miami Heat pick. And we did a little coin flip before we started. So starting with the number 1 pick is Mr. Saucy Takes. And, oh, wait, Franky, do you hear that? That's right. That means the pick is in. Coach Lou representing Atlanta. What are you going to do at number 1 overall?
So this is a predictive mock. This is obviously my big board, but this is
I was supposed to set that up. Sorry.
No, we're good.
Cat's fever got to me. This is what we think is going to happen.
Bingo. This is what we think as a community here at Miami Heat Beat is going to happen. Too much smoke for Ricochet at 1. Will I make him the pick personally? Probably not. I'd probably take Sar if I was him, but Ricochet fits alongside. He's a long, lanky wing, gives him some direction. He wants to be there, which is more than can be said for what Alex Sar and Duffy and his agent are doing. Yep. But, 3-and-D prototype might not have the highest ceiling, but overall a safe player there.
Yeah, and I think I'm with you on this being the number 1 overall pick, especially with everything we're hearing from Sar. Granted, it could be smokescreen, but it does seem like that's kind of where we're leaning. And Franky, I think the next pick is in.
Man.
There it is. Yes, that's right.
All the smoke screens for this season, everybody thought it was the number 1 pick was going to be this guy, but he's kind of forcing his way to Washington, which if I'm a Wizards fan, I'm ecstatic because nobody's ever forced their way to Washington. So I'm going to go Alex Sar. Very talented big.
Alex Sar feels like it's going to be the pick at number 2. And you said it, Franky, one of the rare guys that actually wants to be with the Wizards. It just makes no sense to me. Even trying to get the sentence out doesn't work for me. So I believe, yes, the clock is now at 0 and the pick is in. Saucy Takes. Thank you, Franky. Yes, Saucy Takes. What's going on here with number 3?
With the 3rd pick, the Houston Rockets will select Reed Shepherd. Makes too much sense. The only guy who can come in right away. Other guys were probably in consideration. They're probably like Klingon or whatever, but somebody who can learn behind Van Vliet, best shooter in the draft. He has an argument for that. Shot over 50% in college at Kentucky. Yeah, the guy will be the third pick. He'll be a Houston Rocket.
It's funny because every single mock draft is entirely different, but one of the only areas that seems to be somewhat of a consensus is Houston Rockets at number 3 targeting Reed Shepherd. It seems like they are going to be really valuing his shooting. And yes, the clock is up. The next pick is in. Franky. Thank you. What are the Spurs going to do at number 4?
This is where the draft kind of really starts because the Spurs can go a lot of different ways. They're trying to win. They've got Wemby in tow. They've got a lot of talent, but they've also got a lot of needs. I think the best pick for them would be go Stephon Castle, which Lou's favorite player in the world ever existed. He's a tough-nosed guard, wants to play the one, champion his only year in Connecticut. I love this kid. He's going to be a really good pro.
Yeah, it really does feel like it would be probably the best selection, both to work with Wemby and in terms of honestly what they need in their own backcourt. Also, I do have some intel. My buddy Matt Wood, who is from San Antonio, really wants Stephon Castle at number 4. So it seems like that's what they're going to do. And yes, with that, the clock is now up. Thank you, Lou. Number 5. What's going to happen in this mock draft beat edition?
Man, this is probably one of the toughest picks to make just because I feel like Detroit is probably so pissed right now. Like all the best spacers and guys who can fit alongside what they want is gone. But there's been a lot of rumors of Matas Buzelis. His agent is apparently a member of like the Detroit front office now. So there hasn't been a lot of quote unquote smoke. I just think it's something that they've been trying to keep under the covers, but he's a 6'10", small forward, power forward with some real versatility upside on both sides of the court. So
I love it. And kudos to you for actually saying the name because I was not going to get anywhere near it. The clock is at 0, Franky. With the 6th pick in the draft beat. That's not going to get annoying. With the 6th pick in the draft beat mock draft, the Charlotte Hornets. Who are they taking, Franky?
This was such a fucking tough pick. Me and Lou went back and forth on this and really have no idea. They could go a number of ways that make sense. I like Ron Holland here. I like Devin Carter makes some sense here. But
don't do it. I'll kick you out.
Nope. But we went Dalton Connect here with the pick. Gives him some shooting, athleticism. He's a really talented scorer. I think that he's one of the guys that's pretty much a lock to be a lotto pick. And I think that Charlotte would do well picking him at that 6th spot.
How do you feel about the pairing with him and LaMelo?
I think having shooters around him, they have Mark Williams, who they really like at center. They have Brandon Miller, that one of the best players in the draft last year. Having that spacing and will make things easier for him. He's got the Connect is a sneaky good athlete. Like he tested really well at the combine. Now he's just got to improve on both ends to display his athleticism a little bit, but a guy who can absolutely fill up the fucking stat sheet with buckets. Just fucking can score. One of the argument for one of the best shooters in the class. He's super talented. Dropped 40-point games in college repeatedly. He's really good, man. I think LaMelo would love getting his assists up over with him.
I think you sold me on the pick because I wasn't really sure about it until you gave me the explanation there. And while you did that, the clock ran out, Franky. That's right. That sound means that the pick is in. And unfortunately, the pick was made by Joe Cronin, number 7, Portland. Lou, what's he doing?
Yeah, realistically, Cronin would probably pick the worst player in this draft. But in this case, we're going to give them Donovan Clingan. They have been floating too many ideas of not liking Aiden, and obviously the trade that they did so exquisitely well for Robert Williams, a man who played no minutes for them. They're going to get an answer at center. He doesn't have to come in right away and be the starter, but he's going to be probably the best backup big in the business, honestly, right away for them, an elite rim protector and a very good screener. So hopefully Scoot can show some kinds of improvement for them, but hopefully not.
Lou, I don't want to spend too much time on it because he's obviously not someone for Miami, but we didn't really get a chance to talk about Donovan Clingan, someone that I'm a fan of, but what I'm really surprised by is just his overall rankings in each mock draft. He's either, incredibly high. I've seen him as high as like number 3 and number 4 in some mock drafts. And then sometimes he's falling towards the end of the lotto. Where do you see him? I know you have him right now going to Portland. Do you think this is realistically his draft range?
I think his floor is 9. I think his floor is Memphis.
Agreed.
Realistically. So, we talked about the Hornets pick being a little bit iffy with Dalton Connect. I fully get it. I think that's a spot where the Hornets are maybe a little bit more comfortable moving back and getting a chance to connect at night, and somebody like Memphis trying to move up. I think this draft I think there's minimum going to be 4 to 5 trades tomorrow. Like, it's going to get hectic. Today has been so quiet. It's the quiet before the storm. I'm telling you now, there's too many. This draft is so flat. Teams are going to lean into their evaluation on prospects and really go for their guys, just because moving up 5-6 spots isn't going to cost as much as it would in other drafts where there's clear tier breaks.
Yeah. Also, just that volatility in every single mock draft. It almost behooves you to just stay in your spot and wait to see who's going to fall, because somebody's going to, with just how crazy everybody is. And Franky, as I was talking, the clock ran out. Hit the sounder. That means the pick is in, ladies and gentlemen. At number 8, San Antonio Spurs are back up. Who are they getting to match with Victor Wembanyama? Sorry, I started reading comments too soon. Go for it.
Well, this is where I think the Spurs are going to – one of these picks, I think the Spurs are going to get an upside play. And Lou has done some quiet reporting here, gathered up some sources, some saucy sources here.
You spoke to Matt Wood too?
Sources. I can't give away the saucy sources.
No, he's not going to. But I believe it. It makes a lot of sense. We think they're going to pair Wemby with Saloon. I'm not going to pretend I know how to say his name. But this is a guy who's rised up the draft boards with his impressive athleticism, really raw prospect, but got a lot of size and tools. And I think Wemby would love to be paired with somebody like him.
And this is becoming a very popular mock draft selection in a lot of different areas because of how vocal Wembanyama has been, that he wants to play with one of his guys from the France team, Saloon being the most obvious in that position. And with that, the clock ran out again, Franky. Lou, that means the pick is in at number 9 for Memphis. What are they doing?
Yeah. The Memphis Grizzlies, I think, they're kind of bummed out that a center is off the board. I think it's a little bit too high for some of the other centers. But a guy that's been consistently, rumored to go in the top 10, even though mocks are pushing him lower and lower. I've seen him even be in consideration at 5. I think they're going to take J-Dub's brother and Cody Williams from Colorado and get some youth. The Zaire Williams project didn't work, but, they add somebody else to that wing room with some actual length to help cover up for some of Jaw's weaknesses, and one of the best finishers at the draft, even though if he's only 178 pounds.
Yeah, I know that internally in DraftBeat, we all kind of have different grades on the guy, but I really do like the landing spot of him in Memphis. I think that's a really great place for him to grow and kind of fall into that system. And Franky, I just heard that the pick is in for Utah. Who's Danny Ainge selecting at number 10?
I think it's going to be Nikola Topic. I think this is where he falls. They've kind of set the tone that they're open to tanking. They're patient. They drafted a nice guard, George, last year out of Baylor. They have Sexton, who's had a phenomenal year, so they can wait for him to get healthy. But I think this is the risk right here, this upside swing. But we've seen mock drafts of him falling out of the lotto because of that knee injury. He's a potential guy that I would love to see Miami be serious about and be patient with. We've seen a lot of teams wait for a prospect to heal 1 year. We've seen it just recently with Chet Holmgren in OKC. I get Jimmy and everything, but like, when you can get one of the best players in the draft at 15, I think you can take that upside swing. But ultimately, I think Utah's the place where he goes.
Guys, I'm a little disappointed. I'll be honest. I asked you not to mock draft with me, so I didn't know what the
turn away now. Turn away now.
I already know. But I thought at least you would let this guy that talks just like Darth Vader fall. Craziest
voice ever.
Crazy. As you were talking, Franky, I was trying to find the clip to send it to you. We'll come back to that later. But my biggest takeaway from the draft process is how did we get to the day before the draft to find out that this guy sounds just like James Earl Jones? Like, it is crazy. His voice is terrifying. But with that being said, Franky, somehow the clock ran out as I was filibustering. And with that, the Bulls are now about to make their selection at number 11.
Yeah, I think
I don't even want to hear it. Go.
Yeah, don't cover your ears, Heat fans. They traded away Caruso. I think that's because they targeted somebody who they can get to fill his role for cheaper, maybe even better, dare I say. They're going to go Devin Carter here. A tough 2-pick stretch here for us Heat fans, in my fucking personal opinion. I know it fucking sucks, but it's bound to happen at some point. So I can't let we have to stop the momentum here, because my heart will break harder than it did for Kobe Buffkin last year.
Yeah, and unlike Kobe Buffkin, this one's gonna hit. I'm extremely disappointed, but I'm not surprised, because as we've been talking about throughout this process, there has been rumblings that he has a promise in the lottery, and many people have speculated that it is with Chicago that has made that promise, and it just feels inevitable. I'm depressed. I don't want to talk anymore. Hit the sounder and make a fucking pick. OKC's on the clock, Franky. What are they going to do?
This one was a back and forth too, because OKC can obviously trade this pick. They can go for some veteran now pieces. But we decided to go. It was between Tristan Da Silva and Tyler Smith here, both guys who made a lot of sense. I think we're going to go Tristan Da Silva here just to be safe. Shooter, brings size, fits right into what they like and what they do. But he would actually be the second tallest player in the rotation. So I think it would be a great addition for them.
Yeah, I like that addition for them. I'm sorry. I'm still reeling from the Devin Carter pick. I know that's what's going to happen, and I still can't take it. But I like that selection, Franky. At number 13, the pick is in. What are the Kings going to be doing in Sacramento for number 13?
So Franky, taking Tijane Saloon, the guy who was probably this would have probably been his floor, 13 or 14. It's going to be tough to see what direction they're going, but them taking Malik Monk and giving him that money, I think they shored up their guard room. I do think that they're missing an athletic front court partner next to Keegan Murray, who is one of the best shooters of his class, but obviously it's a nice yin and yang with Ron Holland here. I think they will ultimately decide to go with Ron Holland at 13. They can wait for him to develop. They can let him play off the bench with some spacing with Malik Monk and Kevin Huerter and Sabonis running the top of the key, DHO stuff and cut back door off of that. I think Ron Holland defensively is going to make an impact for this team too, as they need one of these wing defenders to.
I love that selection. You're talking about one of the best motors, one of the best defenders in the draft, landing in a place that I think he's going to have a lot of time to grow, fit the system. But before we continue this mock draft, we have to listen to a very important sounder from one Mr. Luke Star Wars Nikola Topic. This voice is crazy. I'm terrified already. Franky, let me hear it.
Outside of basketball, what sport are you the best at?
Soccer. Yeah, I was practicing soccer before I played basketball.
Yeah.
So I was decent at it, but I wanted to play basketball, and that is my love.
What happened at the end there? Hold on.
Choice.
That's all.
Okay. It's terrifying. He sounds like he's gonna drop, a double and kill someone on the same night.
He sounds like a Decepticon.
That was terrible. That was terrible.
The poor guy.
We had to pause the draft for that because that was very important. That's a DraftBeat exclusive clip right there. We did a lot of dirty research to find that voice. All right, Franky, I just found out that the pick is in.
Sorry.
With the pick, the Portland Trailblazers are double dipping. And what are they going to do here?
This pick is up for trade as well. They're trying to trade some of these picks and try to get some vets. We think if they stay here, McCain and Dillingham don't make sense. I don't think they're going to go back to two small guards just after the CJ Dame experience and Anthony Simons experiments. So it's probably going to be an upside swing. I like Tyler Smith here, big who can shoot from the G League Ignite, can play the 3 a little bit, probably long term a 4. But once they trade Jeremy Grant, he's probably the guy who will get a lot more playing time there.
Okay. Interesting pick, and I like it. Tyler Smith going about where I think he's going to be. So let's take a look at the board really quickly. Let's look at picks 1 through 14, because next up we got the Miami Heat with a very important first round selection. I know, Carlatiano, that cracked me up too. I'm not going to lie. So right here we got Zachary Risasher. Yeah, I'm not even going to learn how to say his name at number 1. I think the most surprising selection here for me, honestly, is Topic going 10 to Utah, because I think he could go literally anywhere in the lotto. I've said it before. It's just whoever clears him first. Lou, before we move on to the Heat pick, which one here in the top 14 is the most interesting to you?
To be honest, I think probably the most interesting pick is Cody Williams at 9, just because it kind of doesn't really fit with Memphis's timeline, but it fits in the mode of player that they like to draft in a position of need. So it's just an interesting, to be honest, you can pick any pick here, be like, that's the most interesting one, just because nobody fucking knows what's going to happen on draft day. So but definitely Cody Williams, to me, I think it's a little rich for him. So I don't mind the swing. It's just not what I would do personally.
Yeah, Melody agrees. Really quickly for the pod audience, I'm just going to read the draft results as we have them right now, and then we're going to get straight into the Miami Heat pick. So number 1, we got Risasher. Number 2, Alex Sarr. Number 3, Reed Shepard. 4, Stephon Castle. 5, Matas Bazulis. Number 6, Dalton Connect. Frankie, you just wanted me to read these names. Come on. Number 7, Donovan Clingan. 8, Saloon. That's all I'm doing. 9, Cody Williams. 10, Nikola Topic, a.k.a. Darth Vader. 11, oh, God, my guy, Devin Carter. That one broke me. Number 12, Tristan Da Silva, back-to-back breaking me. And number 13, Ron Holland. Number 14, Tyler Smith. Frankie, if you could go up to the draft board really quickly. Things didn't exactly break the way that I was hoping to, with my 1A and 1B being off the board. But let's see who we have available. And you know what? I'm going to need some help with this Miami Heat pick. So let's go ahead and call in the big guns and welcome in our very special guests, Greg Sylvander and Alex Trappy Baby from
Yo. What's
Gentlemen,
cracking? What's cracking?
What's up?
Thank you so much for joining us today. And listen, guys, the board isn't exactly the way I would have loved it to land, but there are some really interesting names, especially at the guard position, which is kind of where we're leaning at DraftBeat. If you guys could just kind of take us through your thought process with.
I thought we were doing Panthers talk.
We will. The entire second half, all we're going to talk about is Bobrovsky and the incredible game last night. But I'm really curious what you guys think of the board as it is like that, and what the pick would be at 15 if it fell this way.
Go ahead, Alex.
Oh man, look, I'm still recovering from the Panthers winning, so that's like number 1 right now in my mind. But since we're doing this draft stuff, look, in all seriousness, the picks leading up to this one, I feel like kind of took out everybody that I was interested in, right? As far as the most interested in.
We did our job.
But I mean, yeah, but there's still some interesting guys available here, though. Like when you look at some of the guards, right? When it comes to Rob Dillingham still being available, I think that's something that he would have to think about, right? Even though he's probably going to be a liability on defense in the NBA with how small he is. I mean, a guy like Isaiah Collier being there, I think you would have to consider that. I mean, McCain is a different type of player, but it seems like, it's kind of rich in guards at this point, right? If the drafts were to go this way. And the other thing that's still kind of completely available is all the bigs in the Heat's range, right? Like the Filipowski and Kel'el Ware and Missy and Deron Holmes, all these guys, Zach Edey still available. So it feels like there's a lot of guard, and yeah, it's a lot of guard and bigs available. It feels like a lot of the wings I was looking into for the Heat there are off the board. Leif, how are you feeling about what's out there?
You got to go best player available. Like, what are we doing? And at this point, unfortunately for the Heat, because there's a log jam at the position, it's at guard, right? I found it interesting, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Collier the only reported workout was with Miami? I think that's an interesting nugget to chew on. Rob Dillingham is a top 10 talent in this draft, without a doubt. We don't even see Tyler Kolek on the screen, and he's another guy that I think Miami will consider.
Dynamite. He's dynamite.
And they're going to consider him. I don't know if that will be at 15, but I think that's a guy that they do like. But ultimately here for me, Jalen Tyson, we know Ethan has chronicled that. That's another guy, but that's way too high for him. At this point, I think most people are going to want to take Jared McCain here. Because I didn't get confirmation that they worked him out, for some reason, I'm wanting to go in the opposite direction. And if I'm making the pick right here, it's going to be Isaiah Collier.
Okay, so are we supposed to come to a consensus here? Is this
we're going to do it the exact same way that the Miami Heat do it. Everybody gets a vote.
Okay.
There we go. Okay. I like that.
Okay, cool. So that puts more pressure on me to come up with a different, unique answer. Look, at this point, I almost can't even believe I'm about to say this right now. I think I will go Dillingham. I think I'm not even like that huge on his game. I just think like that would be kind of a fun project for the Heat. It's like get this guy who is so kind of the opposite of what you had in house for so long, right? Where it's like, he's not gonna fit right nicely into your defense right away, but he is this absolute bucket getter who is super shifty, who can create his own shot, who can create separation at will, can really shoot the ball, can score in a lot of different creative ways, is slithery, right? But again, he's like $160, and that's not even really exaggerated. He's really small. I think he's 6'1" with a 6'3" wingspan, if I remember correctly. Yep. So it's just that part of the floor. It's such a gamble on him to be more than worth it on the offensive side, where it's like, okay, what he brings offensively, like I'm okay with the defensive. But that's just like my first instinct, because it's like, best player available to me. That's like the most interesting player on the board just from when you look at the names. I don't necessarily think that's like the best pick fit wise, or a pick that I think that he will make. So if you're just talking about what I would do, I think again, I'm not even that big on his game, but I think Dillingham at 15 is pretty good value, and I would like to see what they can do.
You keep saying project and defensive liability, and that's my only concerns with Dillingham. Yes, we know he's got a great offensive game, but at 15, I'm willing to take a swing on Topic because I actually trust the game. If the medical clears out, I trust that project. I don't know if I'm willing to gamble with Dillingham, with Collier and McCain both being on the board, who I think are a little bit better in different areas. I think McCain is one of the better shooters in the draft, and I think that he has the potential to kind of jump up the way a Tyrese Maxey does. Not saying he's going to hit that same ceiling, but he has that type of jump potential. But Isaiah Collier being the only one that's actually worked out with the Heat should be telling. And I think defensively, Spo would love what he could bring to the perimeter. If I'm getting my vote, I'm putting it in for McCain just because I value shooting that much more. And I'm going to leave it up to my compadres here who have been grinding the tape so hard.
Real quick, I on the Hoops Hype draft workout tracker that we've been using, I did find Collier worked out for the Spurs and the 76ers as well. So
I don't know. You say his last name, Collier?
We have no idea.
It is Collier. It is.
We switch it up every time.
There's like Collier County in Florida. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's why I went with Collier. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing his name and making that pick.
No, you're good, bro. We switch it up to keep everybody on their toes. You're a legend. You noticed,
Sometimes I don't even try and say the name. Lou, who do you think is going to be the pick at 15? If the board fell like this, what would be your selection?
Oh, man, it is. If I'm being real honest, the way I'm trying to cycle it through my head is what is the team around this pick going to like also look like? So it's kind of projecting a little bit. Like, I think it's a lot easier to fit McCain into this Jimmy and Bam build, especially if we project Tyler or whoever projects Tyler to get moved. If that's the case, then he's an immediate replacement offensively to the spacing, at least, that Tyler provides. So that's something that is very intriguing. I do think he has more to his game than he showed at Duke. Clearly, he's 11th on my board for a reason. I am a big, big fan of Jared McCain. I think Collier is interesting for different reasons. He is literally a walking paint touch, and we know how much Miami needs rim pressure from any spot on the floor. When this offense was at its best was when Goran was at his best. I'm not saying Collier is Goran, but they're both very downhill drivers. He gets to the rim almost at will, especially off of high ball screens. It can open up the floor. Can the shooting come along enough to work? I think so. Personally, I don't think he's as bad of a shooter as he's being built out to be, but he's definitely a little bit rougher. Dillingham, we know who he is, man. He's a special offensive talent. It's so difficult to turn him. I wouldn't even consider him for the pick just because we asked Bam to do so damn much. And this guy is 164. To put that into context, Trae Young is a small guard. He weighed in at 178. He is 14 pounds heavier. That's a 2-month baby. than Rob Dillingham. It's tough for me to put that into context. Terry Rozier is small. He has 25 pounds on Rob Dillingham. It's hard for him to put 25 pounds on and still be undersized. So that's my concern with him. I do love the talent. The last guy that I'd really consider is Pacome Dadier. I know this is too high. I know.
Oh my God, take him out, Moose. Take him out.
But that's literally the entire draft process. That's the only guy he's wanted to talk about.
Literally, he just found out this guy was a guy 2 days ago.
Wow.
I watch out for Miami.
No, I love him. I think in terms of wings, with all the wings getting taken, De Silva, obviously Tyler Smith, Ron Holland, he's probably the last guy I'd consider. I think this is a little too rich for him, and I don't think Miami's going to do it. But if I had to make the pick, I am in agreement with Greg. I think it would be Isaiah Collier.
Shmita Schmolnik in the chat saying, "Why is Troppy Baby dressed like a fisherman on Deadliest Catch?"
That's crazy. This is all the Panthers merch I have. Let me be.
Yeah, he just bought it today, guys. Come on. It hasn't even taken the tags off yet.
This season.
So it looks like we're leaning Isaiah Collier. Franky, would you be okay being the final vote to send that up?
I'm with Lou. The concerns on Dillingham's defense is wild. Goins is in the chat talking about the Kentucky guards, Maxey, Booker, at worst Hero. This guy might be Bones Highland, on defense. That's how risky this pick is. I'm okay with it. I completely get it, but you definitely need to make some other moves to accommodate his weaknesses and hopefully believe that he can gain that weight and be good enough defensively. Because this guy defensively, it wasn't just weight, it was effort. It was
it would be an uncharacteristic swing for the Miami Heat. That's my issue with it. I could see them taking on projects with high upside, but this one is just so off character.
Yeah. And I like
it's almost definitely not happening, right?
Yeah,
it's gonna be the
selection.
Rob Dillingham, you are a Miami Heat.
It looks like you're leaning Collier then?
I am leaning Collier because McCain, I do like him a lot more after I dived in, but if you're drafting him just for now and not for long term, he needs to be a point guard. He's 6'2", 200 pounds. But he's small wingspan. I don't think he didn't really show a lot of on-ball skills. He was almost entirely off-ball. Maybe he has that in his bag, but he didn't show it at all at Duke. And at Collier, while he does have his own questions, I think he's the biggest upside pick with his size, his strength, his ability to get to the rim. And, you look at some of his numbers. I compared him to Carter, which is a guy we love. His freshman year, a lot of Collier's numbers were better than Carter's, and we saw how much improvement Carter showed over 3 years. Carter's pulling up from 30 feet, and maybe Collier gets there. I would take the risk. I would take the upside swing, but you definitely need to balance out the roster with more shooting around him.
I totally agree. I love the pick. I would like to lean guard, and as Greg Sylvander says in our chat, we're going to be completely wrong, and it's going to be a big or it's going to be someone. I mean, we saw it last year. We knew Jaime Jaquez was the most Heat guy in the draft, and nobody had him going to the Miami Heat. Greg, we're all leaning guard internally here. Do you get the sense? We barely
even talked about the bigs that are out there.
Well, and that's kind of the question that I wanted to get to. Do you get the sense that maybe it's because the way the board is going to fall, but it does feel like guard to the Heat feels more likely, even though they will have their choice at the bigs? Is some of that smoke screen, or do you think that's realistic?
No, I think the best talent will probably be a guard. The question will be, do they draft, as they have been recently? They've been going what they believe to be best player available, but also like these players fit too. You know what I mean? And that's when we talk about some of the guards, there's going to be a logjam. And so like there is roster implications to this if you expect the 15th pick to contribute in any way. So I could be completely wrong. My sense is that's where the talent's going to lie. So that's why I'm gravitating that way. But if you look at the roster with Caleb potentially leaving, with Highsmith potentially leaving, with obviously they need size, they look undersized every damn night. It makes sense. Like I was hoping Tristan Da Silva was going to be there when we did this mock draft exercise.
Yes.
Because I feel like that's a perfect guy that can slide in and replace some of what may be leaving in Caleb and Highsmith potentially. So maybe we'll be wrong, but I think that the best player available will likely be a guard, particularly one with that downhill ability like Collier. I'll say it correctly now.
Yeah. Franky, I want to give you a chance to ask any questions here, but we did talk earlier about second round possibilities for the Heat. I guess, where do you think that they're going to go in the second round, and how likely do you think they are to keep the pick? Because this is a conversation you and I have had many times. I think they're going to end up trading it for some future flexibility.
Yeah, I think they kind of need to start holding on to some of these assets, these cost controls. You can see how difficult it is to just get into conversations right now without assets, without trade picks, without young pieces. And one of their biggest talents is finding and developing guys. And the talent pool in the draft is a lot higher than in the undrafted guys. The best undrafted player in the league is Fred VanVleet, a very good player. Second round picks, Nikola Jokic was a second round pick. You can find a lot more talent in the second round overseas. Jalen Brunson's another great find in the second round. Some of these guys, I trust the scouting department to find these guys. And I think cost-controlled assets, especially as a second apron team who's looking into contend and seeing how you can't even aggregate players right now. They have to sell some players or do one-for-one trades. That's really all they can do right now because of where they find themselves financially. I wouldn't surprise me if they traded it, but I would be disappointed. But Greg, I'm definitely interested in what you think they're going to do.
They are praying Baylor Shireman falls to 43. That's what they're praying for.
Aggregated.
I don't know that that's going to happen, but that's the guy that I would definitely watch in the second round. Also heard Keshad Johnson, I believe is how you say his name, from Arizona. He had a great workout, so that's something to watch as well. I mean, a workout is a workout. It doesn't mean you all of a sudden are catapulting up rankings necessarily, but I just think that's a player to watch in the second round too.
It's feeling like Bona's not going to fall to that second round pick right now, huh? Or is that
Adam Bona?
It feels like the conversation around has been really hot the past couple of days.
According to Sam Vecini, he said that I heard him on his pod earlier, yesterday actually. He was saying that every single team that Bona has worked out for that he's asked for feedback said he was the best player, or like he was either A, the best player, or B, like the highest energy, most impactful player. Maybe if the talent wasn't raw. And Bona just gives off so much, like, I don't like to do comps, but he plays a lot like Bam did coming out of Kentucky. Very physical attribute, like similar build. I see why Miami wants him. Like, they like to take chances on these uber athletes, even if they're small ball fives, just because their strength can hold up. I don't think he's going to be there though. But Baylor Shireman, Greg might have just made my fucking day with that one, man. I love Baylor Shireman. Like, because we didn't even get a chance to talk about him. I didn't think he was going to be there. But if he's there, 99th percentile pick and roll ball handler. I don't think you know how crazy that is. Considering he's a lefty, shot 40% from 3, 9 rebounds, like 20 points, 5 assists. I'm all in.
They had a scout park his ass at every Creighton game this past season. For
I
what
believe
that's
it.
worth.
I believe
Maybe
it.
pick at 15.
That would be crazy.
I better not believe it.
Oh, now it's too bad.
Oh.
Oh.
We should have known the 26-year-old 5-time senior pick at 15. Let's get to this question here that we got from the chat. What do you guys think about Jamal Sheed out of Houston?
Shed.
Yeah, well, listen, this guy's not gonna make it. Who cares? Saucy Takes, I know this is someone you liked. Tell me about him.
Oh man, I'm gonna give Franky credit, man. Franky put me on Jamal Shed. I'm gonna be honest. He was like, "Oh, I just think he fits Miami." And at first, you look at the measurables. You're like, he's 6 feet, like not a great 3-point shooter. Like, statistically, not a great 3-point shooter. And then you watch this guy play basketball, and you're like, "Holy fuck, Pat Riley! Somebody wake him up! Like, tell him to turn the TV off." It's Jamal Shed highlights, like defensive highlights. Like, he is probably the best point of attack defender in this whole class. I was going over the list of point guards or just guards in general who have had an over 40 assist percentage, over 2 block percentage, and over 4 steal percentage. There's very few guards in college that did that. Every single one of the guards that did that had a decent NBA career. Some of the names on there were, Michael Carter Williams, I guess, but he was good for a couple seasons. There were a couple of other guys that Alex Caruso was on there as well. Like, some of the guys that were on that like very niche list for Jamal Shed have had some decent careers. I think his offense is going to be better than people think. He was asked to do a lot for a Houston team that was offensively just bad.
Inept.
Yeah, there you go. Thanks.
Real quick, Alex and Greg have to get out of here to do their show.
Yes, that's what I was
one last question for you guys. Greg, we have the workout list here as we're showing. If you're on Twitch, you can see it on YouTube as well. Is there any names here that weren't listed that you can confirm that Miami did work out or is seriously interested? I know you mentioned Baylor Shireman. Is there another Saucy?
Yeah, I can give you. Hold on one second. Let me pull up. Sorry, this is great audio here for everybody.
It's all good. It's all good.
And Troppy, before you go, I'm going to need your Florida Panthers bona fides.
It's nothing.
He got it at Ross on 49th Street.
Like, I'm here to embody South Florida fans who can, jump on when something is good. I've only been a fan since like last year. Nobody liked hockey where I'm from growing up. So you know what? I don't care. Hockey's fun. Go Panthers. Go ahead, Leif.
One guy that I don't know made it onto that list, Zion Pullen out of Florida. I heard he had a really great workout. So that's something also to watch as another. He's a senior point guard from Florida. That's just another name to watch, although he may go undrafted.
Yeah.
Riley's pulling for him.
I was going to say, just the kind of guys that the Heat love, those undrafted senior veterans. Really quickly to get you guys out of here. Thank you guys so much for joining us today and for helping us make that selection at pick number 15. Once again, it was Isaiah Collier. We don't know how to say the name, but if it's the pick, we'll figure it out. Greg, Alex, thank you guys so much for stopping by and for helping us out.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely, man. Thank you guys.
Make sure you all check out their work on 5 Reasons Sports. Really appreciate them joining us. Guys, I think that's basically the show. If there's anything else you want to get to. Oh, I do want to mention we will be live tomorrow for the NBA draft. We will be doing a Twitch stream probably after the first 10 picks. We're not going to do the whole lotto because we want to watch it too, guys. But we will be on for a live reaction of the pick. So yeah, probably after pick number 10, we'll be sending out the link for you all to join and watch along with us. Franky, Lou, anything before we wrap it up?
Yeah, me and I'm gonna be on playback hosting the draft watch party from the get-go. Anybody welcome to join. Lou, if you we haven't really talked about it, but if you want to join, of course,
I'm there, man.
We can do it. And then
I did not know. I will swing through.
There you go. And then, like Moose said, once pick 10 goes up, we'll jump over to Twitch so we can do a live reaction. You guys can get our takes. We're gonna start playback Carla Tiana first, and then pick 10. We're gonna switch over to Twitch.
Yes.
Real quick, guys, just because we had that mock draft, that's where we had it was highly debated. Me and Lou went over that draft for like an hour and a half, and that was just the first 14 picks. And there's a whole bunch.
And
of
can we talk about that? This was actually draft number 2.
Yeah. We had to redo it.
The previous draft,
we did realistically.
Okay, well, the draft that I heard, can I say what the pick was, which was why I was so surprised?
Yeah,
yes, go ahead.
You guys had us taking Darth Vader at 15.
Yeah,
oh, man.
What happened?
We heard him talk today, man, and I just couldn't get behind him.
Moved him up. Franky, play it one more time.
Outside of basketball, what sport are you the best at?
Soccer.
Soccer.
Yeah, I was practicing soccer before I played basketball.
Yeah.
So I was decent at it, but I mean, I wanted to play basketball, and that is my love.
Well, I think you made the right choice.
You know, set me the pick bomb. Like when they
set me the pick and roll bomb.
Unbelievable.
Sounded a little Jamaican there.
And on that note, I'm going to wrap us up before we get ourselves canceled. Thank you guys so much we have the draft tomorrow. I'm very much looking forward to it. But really quickly, I just want to shout out both of you guys. Thank you so much for all the work you've done throughout this draft process, because it has not been easy grinding all of this tape and getting the big board ready and the clips ready and all that. And you guys have absolutely killed it and made my job a hell of a lot easier. So thank you guys. Ivan Drago. He does sound like Ivan Drago's son.
Appreciate that, Moose. Got to give you credit to Lou as well. He's busting my ass. Fucking nonstop texting me about prospects, making up prospects. Daddy A is not a real person. I don't care what you say. But also, Moose, you've also put in a lot of work. Credit to you, man. I mean, nobody else would have done this.
Feels like the draft. DraftBeat, 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 draft.
But yeah, man, make sure you
I
guys.
thought we were wrapping up. What the hell?
No, hold on.
That was the out, Franky.
No,
that was the out.
Run it back. Run it back. No, we didn't even get Lou a chance to talk.
Oh, sorry, Lou.
No, man, but thank you guys. You know, first and foremost, thank you to G, who's out with COVID, and Brian, who's out with COVID. You know, just for giving us a platform, I guess, for giving a random motherfucker on Twitter, shout out Alf, a platform. But thank you guys. I fucking love the draft. We're gonna be dialed in, man. From now on, you already know what it is. Thank you to Moose. Literally, he would go over the show script, and I would be like, "There's no way we're fitting this many people into that." But
hey,
Woj is reporting to here selecting OG Anunoby. No, Bam Adebayo. I lied.
Oh my! They took Bam. Yo,
what are we doing?
Yep.
Twice?
Who is this?
Twice in one show?
Are you
kidding?
What is he doing? Who is that?
He just said that.
Who is that?
Draft OG. Oh no, we won't. Oh no, we don't. They're drafting Bam Adebayo.
Bam Adebayo.
What happened?
They're drafting Bam Adebayo.
Oh.
I should have played that when Alex was here. Fuck.
Well, we weren't expecting the Florida Panthers #1 fan to show up. But you'll be getting more of reactions like that tomorrow. We'll see if we can get some of the other people from Miami Heat Beat to join us for a live reaction as well. But make sure you tune in. Remember, after pick number 10, we will send the link out, and you guys can watch along with us. Thank you all so much for stopping by every single Tuesday for the Draft Beat edition. Franky, hit me with the music one more time.
It feels like the draft. DraftBeat, 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 DraftBeat.